Well, my 9/11 memory really goes back a year before, 2001, um, or really actually the day before. September 10th. See, I had gotten married and I had to move away from the Alexandria area. So I was now telecommuting. I was an editor in Lexington, Virginia. So I used to go up about once a week, which was not a fun drive, but now I was going up monthly. And I had to go up monthly for this visit because we were interviewing an editorial assistant to assist us. And so I came up on the 10th and we had our interviews. And the next day, after I was staying in a motel where they were not exactly plush, so I always had to take a lot of attention to get checked out. So, despite that little annoyance, it was my birthday, so I'm a little giddy. And so I'm going in a good mood for the day of interviews. And we had one person show up, probably about 9, not aware of what was going on around us. But she got there fine. And as we were finishing up with that one, we heard the news. But we couldn't see it on TV. We were sort of like working in a vacuum. But we were going like, oh my gosh, how is this other person going to get there? So we're calling her and trying to warn her about coming. And she was coming by subway because that's about the only way to get there because there's no streets around where the office was. We were at Braddock Metro. And she gets there by some miracle. We interview her, and she actually leaves. And I don't know how she got home because I know the subways all closed that day and the buses and everything else. Well, it was my birthday, like I said, and so I wanted to like do something special. At least that's how I started off the day, thinking I would do something special that day. Maybe grab lunch, be able to get home early, hit the road before rush hour rather than wait it out. Well, we could see the smoke from my office window, see the smoke from the Pentagon. And when I finally got around to leaving, I started to get on the road, and luckily I did not go down 95. I went the other direction near the Pentagon. The roads were empty. It was just so strange that the roads were so empty around DC. I heard stories from 2 of my friends that were supposed to fly out that day. One of them worked in DC, and before he actually went to the airport, he decided he had to walk home. There was no other way to get home. So he walked 7 miles home, but he fortunately left his suitcase at work. Another one went to the airport, and all this happened while she was waiting for a flight. So there was no transportation going on to the airport anymore. So she started walking with her suitcase down GW Parkway. And by some miracle, some people picked her up and helped her along her way because she lives in Lorton, so that would have been quite a drive. Well, I did make my drive very safely home with no traffic, of course, that day. And it seems like the 9/11 memories kind of continue a little bit closer to time of today because about 2 years ago, I was doing a Pentagon service. I was doing a service about every 3 months, the Episcopal service there. I was on the rota on a rotation about every 3 months, but sometimes I would do additional ones. And you do them in the 9/11 chapel. And the 9/11 chapel is built where the plane went down. And there's a big kind of stained glass window behind it, or I guess you'd say it's a stand of some sort that's glass. And so it's very eerie to be doing a service in a room where you know the planes went down, and you see 9/11 everywhere, and you see people, visitors coming by the doors while you're doing the service, peering in, wanting to kind of see and glimpse where the plane went down. I think it's been, well, it's changed us a lot. I mean, everything has changed about security and things of that sort. And so you're constantly reminded about 9/11. And of course, the pullout from Afghanistan has been kind of part of that reminder. And I think it's particularly on people's minds right now, at least the sadness, but not maybe 9/11, but the sadness because everything is kind of overloaded with the floods and the fires and everything else. And so, in a way, it might get lost, the 20th anniversary, more so than if it was one of the earlier anniversaries. I actually participated in a 9/11 service years ago, in where it went down in Pennsylvania at that 9/11 chapel. I only had a very small part, and it actually was a year that was extremely rainy, so it was not a pleasant way to spend that day. But maybe it made it more real because we were outside and then we had to go inside all dripping and finish the service that way. Well, just being at the Pentagon to me is kind of awesome because there's such high security even getting in there. And you feel kind of special that you get to lead services in that chapel. Um, Even when, it's not related to 9/11, it's just being there, knowing what happened there.